This is more like it. This is the Hawks team that I loved watching during the Eastern Conference Finals. This is the Atlanta Hawks team that was one of the best teams in the league during the second half of last season prior to the NBA playoffs. This is the Atlanta Hawks team that we know they can be. So that's good to see. A 6-game winning streak after a really rough stretch. They had a schedule from hell. No one was denying that, myself included. I was not denying they had a tough schedule to start the season, but they also went on a streak of 1-8, including having the worst defense in basketball. So there was a little bit of worry that creeped in. Did I think they were going to miss the playoffs or anything crazy? No, but there was a little bit of worry. That's been alleviated now. Now, I'm not going to get too cocky because I was hyping up the Hawks after the first game against Dallas, in which they looked amazing, and then, well, they kind of went downhill, and then I started talking negatively about the Hawks, kind of, and then it's gone uphill again. So for the sake of the Atlanta Hawks, even though, do I have any impact on it? No. But for the sake of it, let's pretend this is a neutral video, even though it's not, because there's some positives to talk about. 6-game win streak. It looks like the Atlanta Hawks are back. Looks like they're back. I mean, they never really left, but they had a rough stretch, a very rough stretch. And let's talk about that. Now, before I get into that, you know the deal. If you've watched any of these videos, if you could drop a like on the video, it just helps out a ton. Drop a like for every Hawks win. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Just drop a like on the video. That would be cool. Subscribe if you're new, or if you haven't already subscribed. That would also be cool. So that would be much appreciated. Look, I want to start a little bit left of field. Yes, a man who has been compared to me, or I've been compared to him, I would say, because he is the NBA player and I am not. But yes, pasty skin, red hair, Kevin Huerter. Kayvon, Seth Curry's father, Red Velvet, Ginger Assassin, like whatever you want to really call him, the man who broke Philly's heart in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. That man, oh yeah, he's playing well. He's playing fantastically. And since he's been injected into the starting lineup, he has been huge. I think I want to say I owe Kevin an apology, because I've always talked about DeAndre Hunter potentially being that second/third guy alongside John Collins and Trey Young. Maybe it'll be Kevin Huerter. I know some people have talked about Cam Reddish and his upside. I don't expect Kevin Huerter to be an all-star level player. He could be, but I expect him to be someone who could get to that 18 to 20 point per game range, because as a starter, he's averaging 15, 4 and 3 on the season. Godly efficiency, like insane efficiency. Will that keep up? No, but he has been an efficient scorer pretty much since he's entered the league. He's an efficient shooter. He can get to the rim. He can hit the mid-range. He'll come off screens. He can handle the ball as well. He can play make. He does a lot. Kevin Huerter is genuine. He showed it in the playoffs. He was one of their most consistent performers all throughout. Forget about the Philly game, in which he really obviously showed up and showed out, but all throughout the playoffs, he was incredibly consistent. And for me to overlook him, he's just 23. He's just 23 years of age. He's a sniper. He's locked into a long-term contract. He could be that third / kind of fourth guy for the Atlanta Hawks, and at the very least, what the Hawks have right now in Kevin Huerter is a guy that can shoot the ball at a very good clip. He can defend, he can play make a bit, he can score at a good level, and that's the kind of guy that you want for a team that's trying to build for a championship at 23 years of age. ESPN or Bleacher Report put him in their top 24 under 24. Don't really have any problems with that, because he is that good. Now, I have some problems with the rest of the list, including Trey Young's placement, but Kevin Huerter's placement, that's perfectly fine. The man he's fantastic, honestly. He's been fantastic since entering the starting lineup, and he's been a huge reason for this team turning into the best offense in basketball. And that's where we may as well start. Talked about Kevin, deserves some credit, deserves some respect. My apologies, Kevin. I shouldn't have ever overlooked you. I should have never overlooked you. I won't do it again, because he's been balling. But talking about this offense, the number 1 ranked offense in basketball over the last 6 games, this is the Atlanta Hawks team that we know and love. This is the Hawks team that I expected to be an absolute dominant offense. When you have the shooting, when you have the lob threats and versatility of John Collins, and then the likes of Cam Reddish, Danilo Gallinari, Lou Williams coming off the bench, who I'll talk about in a bit because they've also improved, and that's really helped this team as well. But when you have all of these guys with one guy at the helm who has been fantastic this season, as he has been the last couple of seasons, there's no way he can get snubbed from an all-star game again. There's literally no way. I will I'll delete my channel. Let's hope that doesn't happen, okay? But I'll do something crazy if Trey Young doesn't make an All-Star game this season, because that would be wild. Absolutely dominated the Spurs, a team in which Greg Popovich coached, did not select him for the Team USA, came out and showed, well, I'm one of the best 15 players in the league, or whatever he is. Trey Young has been fantastic this season. He's controlling the offense. He's a guy that sets up everyone. John Collins, I've loved him. Just obviously his lob threat. Obviously he can shoot. He hasn't been shooting too well over the last several games, but in general, we know what he can do. But also his ability to take advantage of matchups. That's what the Hawks do really well. They've got so many versatile guys that can score in so many versatile ways that they can often hunt matchups. And when you have someone like Trey Young, who is creating so many opportunities, and then a guy like Lou Williams, who is now coming off the bench and starting to play more like the Lou Williams we've known for the last 15 to 20 years, however long he's been playing, all of a sudden, it just flows a lot better, and this is where you get the best offense in basketball. Do I expect them to continue to be the best offense in basketball? I would not be surprised. This is a team that should be a top 5 offense. They should be a top 5 offense. That was something that I was surprised with to start the season. Not surprised they're back to their best. The Atlanta Hawks have a fantastic offense. Kevin Huerter has really helped. He helps the ball movement. I really like DeAndre Hunter. I'm not giving up on him. Unfortunately, the injuries have just been crippling over the last couple of seasons. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. But having Huerter in there as a better scorer at the moment, as a better shooter, and just a better overall guy for the offense, it's really helped out alongside the likes of Lou Williams and Gallinari and Reddish, who have improved their production off the bench. Particularly Gallinari and Lou Williams over the last 6 games in which they've been on this winning streak have been a lot more efficient and a lot more effective. This is what you'd hope for from a Hawks team that has so much depth. They're getting a lot out of everyone, and that's been a reason for their offense being so good. I've also liked, just a little note, liked Bogdanovic taking some more threes over the last several games, as well as Huerter. Both of those guys are shooting really efficiently. Still wouldn't mind if Bogdanovic took 10 threes a game. Not going to complain, but he's a walking 44-45% from 3. So get him up to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 threes. Continue to give bogey shots, because that man has struggled in defense to start the season. He's been better the last few games, but what he can do, regardless of how he's going, he can shoot the ball, and I'd love to continue to see him get more shots. Huerter as well. So I've been impressed with Cam Reddish, who's been effective off the ball, shooting well from 3, utilizing his size and quickness on drives. Overall, this is starting to look like an Atlanta-led offense, a Trey Young-led offense. But it's also defensively where it's been solid. That's kind of all I would have expected from the Hawks team. If you had to ask me what I was expecting from this Hawks team leading into the season, it would be an amazing offense and an average, hopefully above average defense, but so far over this winning stretch, they've been an average defense, which is okay when you also consider someone is set to come back, hopefully within the next month or so, and Onyeka Okongwu. I know some people might think, oh, it's just a second-year player. He's not going to make that big of an impact. Oh, he will. He will. They have struggled on the boards a little bit recently. He's going to come in. He's going to make a big impact. He's versatile. I love him coming off the bench. I believe it'll take a little while for him to get back up to speed. Of course, he's still a second-year player, and he's coming off an injury, but I expect him to make an impact as a defensive player, and he could really help them in 15 to 20 minutes a night, maybe even building up over the season. So I really think Okongwu's going to come in and make a big impact. Obviously, Hunter, whenever he gets back healthy as well, is someone that you'd want in the playoffs. We saw what he did against Julius Randle. We've seen what he's done in isolated matchups against the likes of Luka Doncic. He's a guy that struggled this season, hasn't been the player that I was hoping or expecting before the injury, but he's still someone you want back, and he's still someone that is going to help the defense. So that's overall my biggest takeaway defensively. They've been pretty good at limiting turnovers and limiting points in the fast break, so that kind of ties in together in terms of they're a team that takes care of the ball and doesn't really allow the teams to get out in transition. Capella had a fantastic game against San Antonio. He hasn't had as good a season as he had last, but he's still been pretty good. He's still been solid, and it looks like he's starting to get back into the rhythm that he had last season. Collins has been good defensively. He's just been good all across the floor. Huerter, these guys, they're a solid defensive team that I think their ceiling will be raised depending on how good Okongwu comes back and how good DeAndre Hunter comes back, because those guys could be their 2 best defenders. Not right now, I wouldn't say, but over the next couple of years, those are probably their two most talented defenders on the team, and they've been without them. With those guys hopefully healthy and continuing on what they've been able to do, they should be able to hopefully get to that top 10 defense, because if you're looking at this team for being a championship contender, which is what you would hope for, whether it's this year or next or the year after, I don't know. But if you're hoping for them to be a championship contender, they're going to need to be around that top 10 defense, a team that can do well enough against teams in the playoffs and have some versatility, and bringing back a Kongwu and Hunter is really going to help that. Trey is always going to create offense. He's always going to create offense, and I think they've got enough guys that are established now. I don't have any question marks over Herder. I don't have any question marks over John Collins. I've got less question marks over Cam Reddish and Gallinari and Lou Williams coming off the bench after they've been solid the last several games. Like, there's just a lot less question marks on offense, and defensively, there's a little bit of intrigue as well and some upside. That's all I've really got to say. The Atlanta Hawks, they've been playing a lot better. We expected they would turn it around. Let's not get it twisted. I did not think they were going to be a team that would miss the playoffs. But for them to turn it around this quickly and in a couple of games against some tougher opposition as well has been impressive. Looks like they're going to continue rolling. I'm not going to jinx anything. Okay, I'm not going to jinx anything. The Atlanta Hawks are doing okay, right? They're doing okay. That's all I've really got to say. That's all I've got to say. Have a good day.